Welcome to Evilive, the live media commentary show that answers the question, why would Satan want to get behind me? Probably a sex thing, right?
It's definitely a sex thing.
Subscribe if you're new to the channel, because today we're finally doing it! We're only almost a week late. The Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 2, Adrift.
Yeah, my bad.
Initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts, wow. Not what I expected at all. Next episode's going to be really good, but this first one, man, it took me 2 sittings to actually finish it because I was having such a fucking hard time with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get into that because I really enjoyed it. Like, I had a great time. All right, so this is directed by J.R.R. Bayona, written by Jennifer Hutchinson, and it premiered September 1st. All right, so let's do the synopsis, but intersplice the synopsis with what problems did you have with this?
Okay, so there's 2. The biggest one, no, it's not going to be that bad.
Okay.
Yes, I've got that tattoo on the side of my head, but I'm not going to become that guy.
Okay.
At least not as bad as I am with Star Wars.
Yeah.
Okay, so all the little side story shit aside, my biggest problem with it, and now, of course, we'll get into it with the next episode, but having seen where they're going with it, it's a little bit easier to handle.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem is when shit is shot for a YouTube audience. And what I mean by that is people that can't handle content for more than 30 second to 2 minute intervals. And if anybody's seen the live action Mulan, that's exactly what the first episode reminded me of. It was just like 30 seconds to 2 minutes a scene and then on to the next one. And I understood that they were trying to put a lot of story into one episode, because ultimately this is a section of, the Middle Earth shit that we don't really know about. I mean, we've got the Silmarillion, which is the beginning of creation into the beginning of the Second Age. And then, everything else after that, it starts about the Third Age to the Fourth Age. So I understood they had a lot to lay down, but fuck, was it was so difficult. Because every time they cut, it took me out of it. And I just wanted so badly to like it.
Wow. Okay. I didn't even notice the cuts, to be 100% honest. I was fascinated with the introduction coming into the show at the first stage, and then talking about Morgoth and Sauron and the war that pushed these Celebrimbors actually, like, had a war between elves. They didn't do this on the screen, but this is the lore that I learned after the fact. And it was them that moved, the Celebrimbor clan, I guess, that moved over to Lindon and forced the continuous war against Sauron that ended up killing Galadriel's brother. What's his name? I have the wrong show notes up.
Finrod.
Yeah. Damn it, I read the wrong intro and I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, I was like, wait, who was it written by? You know what? I think maybe I'm looking at the wrong one.
Well, even that, it was, the second one was written, the first one's written. Okay, so this one was, the first episode was written by J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, and it was episode 1 of Shadow of the Past, not The Adrift. That's episode 2. Sorry, everyone. It's just one of those days. So, I liked that they did this huge information dump, and we got this idea that Galadriel doesn't really connect with all of the other elves. She's a little bit different. And you set that up early on, and so her sort of push back against the king, Gil-galad, later, even though it was a soft pushback, not in front of his face, her deciding not to go to Valinor, it started to make sense, because not only did she have this amazing relationship with her brother, she picked up his mantle. And, after he died in the war fight, searching for Sauron, she took the mantle on, and she would be damned if this evil... I was trying to do like a little Christopher Walken Pulp Fiction thing, but I didn't want to do the racial slur. So I stopped myself.
That's probably for the best.
It's like I started 1 foot in. I was like, you can't do that. It's like, shit. Got to get back out. Now I have to explain why I sounded like a fucking maniac for a second. So I bought into the whole thing. I didn't know anything about the first stage. And so even the tiny little primer we got, I thought was valuable as a viewer. And then understanding that this all takes place in the second age thousands of years later,
Mm-hmm.
then now I'm like, oh, okay, now I can wrap my head around this. It's going to be another 3,000 or so years before we ever get to the Third Age, after the war, after they've found Sauron and he's fought them and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand where we are as a viewer. I'd never read the Silmarillion. I started some of the other short stories that Tolkien wrote, and I just couldn't get into it. So, I don't know. It was different for me. Maybe I'm one of those YouTube personalities that you're speaking of that can't pay attention without those quick cuts, apparently, because I didn't notice it at all.
The thing is, in certain aspects, it works fine.
Yeah.
And really, with the very first part of this episode, it makes sense because they're trying to shove basically
like thousands of years.
Yeah, like probably about tens of thousands of years, because really the creation, who knows how long that shit took, from the first note being sung to the choirs to so forth and so on. Like, there's a lot of shit involved, and I'm sure there's somebody that could tell me this story, like the timeline, but I don't really care that much. Yeah. Like, I've read the Silmarillion, but I haven't properly read the Silmarillion, so I don't claim to be some
taking
sort of
notes.
No, it's like legit. The only way to read it is with the book right here, a fucking notebook right here, and maybe a secondary notebook. Jeez. Because there's a lot of shit in that tiny book. So one little aside, since we're already talking about the fall of Morgoth and all that shit, the one thing, and this was just me bitching in my own mind because I'm like, why didn't they show us, is something a lot of people don't understand, is Sauron is a Balrog. Like, I wanted to see him in his Balrog like form prior to becoming like the dark elf as it was.
Wait,
so
I thought wait, what?
Yeah.
This is new to me. So as I understood it, like, Sauron is same thing as like all the wizards in the Third Age. They just started out as these sort of like angelic presences, and once they were put down on the earth of Middle Earth, they changed into their. So I have it all wrong.
Kind of. So that's Morgoth.
Okay.
So Morgoth was one of the I really should have my books right here so I could take notes. But yeah, so Morgoth was one of the essentially the angels, the ones that sung life into existence. Sauron, however, was created by Morgoth, and just like the Balrog in Lord of the Rings, that's essentially what he was. He was just a creation, a manifestation of evil, and then he eventually turned into like a man shape.
Because I thought the Balrogs were corrupted by Morgoth. They weren't created by him,
or whatever. It's the same fucking thing.
So this is where it gets confusing for like me, a casual fan, is that even like in the lore, they changed the names. Like Morgoth was something else before he destroyed the trees and was changed his name to, or everyone else changed his name to Morgoth.
Yeah.
So what why do they, I don't understand why why did Tolkien do that? Just to confuse people more? Like,
well, so I put a lot of it, well, not a lot of it, but I'll put some of it on Christopher Tolkien.
Oh, really?
Because like with the Silmarillion, works like that, it was finished by Christopher after Tolkien had passed.
Oh, fuck that.
So there is a little bit of back and forth on notes, a little bit of different interpretations from Christopher.
I didn't know that.
And this is my understanding of it. I could be completely wrong,
right?
But that's pretty much my take on it.
We'll have fucking people correcting us, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's fine. Please do.
Yeah,
Please
I would love to be corrected because I like to know the way it's supposed to be laid out. All right, well, let's continue with this episode then and see where we go. How did you feel about the Harfoots?
It took a little bit of reading for me to be okay with it.
Oh, okay.
Well, because of course they're not hobbits,
right,
as we know it. The hobbits, those didn't come around until about the Third Age, when they finally got all the way to where they are in Middle Earth. So I really had to go back and read and figure out what era the Harfoots came into being, and it's about the same time as men. So once I realized, oh, okay, this is the predecessors to the hobbits, and yes, they were around about the same time as men when men first became a thing, it's like, then I was okay with it. But initially I'm like, wait a second.
Right.
What the fuck? But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I get it, and it's nice to see where they were initially. Like that's why a lot of people don't know what hobbits are, at least in Middle Earth, is they hid so fucking well.
Yeah. Yeah, and then once they became Hobbit, they just localized to one area. So if you didn't travel around, you would never run across them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bought into the Harfoots immediately. I heard that they were described by Tolkien, and this is one of the rare times that Tolkien ever described skin color, was when he described them as brown skin. And so I totally bought into the different, amounts of melatonin that the actors have. That is not a concern for me. I don't even care. Like in old Japanese plays, they would have fucking kabuki theater of like men playing women. That was just like, we do it all the time. So
Yeah,
it's not a big deal to me. I don't care about ethnicity and playing roles. That's a fucking incel issue. Not an Adam. Not my issue.
Only bitch fit, and this has nothing to do with skin color, anything like that, because I don't fucking care. Yeah. It's fantasy, for fuck's sake. Like, if you can't believe that somebody that's black or brown or fucking yellow or green can be an elf or a fucking hobbit or whatever, there's something fucking wrong with you. It's fantasy.
How do you ever believe in orcs? Like, right? That's the case.
There's different fucking color orcs, and that is canonical, for fuck's sake. Like, it's just whatever. It's dumb. But my problem, and I'll probably bitch more about this next episode because it's relevant then, is the fucking dwarven women.
Oh, really?
Where the fuck are their beards?
Yeah.
No goddamn beards. That's the only shit that I can't buy.
So that is a Tolkien version of the dwarf, right? Bearded women.
Yeah, I mean,
I always can't remember because he set up so many like all tropes, but different IPs sort of took him in different directions, and so I never really know which one's his version versus how other people interpreted it. So,
well, and that's in the Hobbit, if I remember correctly. I'm like 95% sure.
You know what? Now that you mention it, I think I remember the dwarves talking about the beards or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it didn't bug me. I mean, I don't like bearded women, so I don't know. I just didn't even think about it. But I guess if I was much closer to the lore, then I would, because I am that type of person. I would have been like, where's the goddamn beards? At least give us some fucking whiskers, like some good like hair lip, like give us some wisps to reach out and like grab your whiskers to bring them in for kisses. Those are my fantasies.
I mean, hey man, to each their own. I get it.
I'll tell you the one thing that's bugging me is why can't I remember his name? Because it does. Elrond, the guy who plays Elrond. I don't need him to have long hair. That I don't care. You live for thousands of years, you're going to change your hairstyle.
Yeah.
What bothers me is his facial structure. It looks nothing like the other, and I understand it's a different interpretation of the character and whatever. I don't like this guy's face. It really bothers me.
He is definitely no Mr. Smith.
Like what?
What the fuck was the agent's name?
I think Agent Smith.
Yeah, it was Agent Smith. Yeah.
That bugs me.
I can appreciate that. The thing that bugs me is the lack of fucking sideburns. Like their fucking hairlines coming up into here. Like I just don't trust people like that.
King Gil-galad shaves.
Dude, it just, I don't know, something about men without sideburns of any degree. It just, I don't trust them.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So Galadriel goes all the way up to Fordowaith.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Has this like shining moment where this ice troll is whipping everyone's ass, and then she comes in and like Ginsu knives his ass.
Fuck yeah.
What did you think about that? Like, should she be that good of a warrior?
Yeah, fuck yeah, she should be.
Right.
Just cause.
That's the complaint I've heard about a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, how come all the other people can't do it, but she can?" And I was
because
like, I don't know.
Because they don't have the fucking rage in their soul that she does.
Yeah.
Plus, the thing is, a lot of these elves don't have the pain that she had. Like, she was one of the first people. She was there for the lights going out.
Right.
And that's one other thing that kind of bothers me. And it's just a stupid bitch fit, but I'm going to bitch anyways because even Peter Jackson did this shit. Like, the lore is that because she was one of the last people to see the lights go out, she always has them in her eyes, and none of that.
Really?
None of that in this show.
That would be a beautiful little, like, I don't know, a little dusting of lore.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is. I mean, that's fucking Peter Jackson did it.
Huh.
And it's
I
like
didn't know
when
that.
you realize it's fucking gorgeous, and it makes perfect sense.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No,
So that was my last pitch fit with
no,
this.
I want to see it, damn it. Okay. I think that's valid. I loved seeing them reveal the keep, like the sort of the abandoned keep. I love ancient evil sort of architecture and visual cues and stuff. It's very Sith-like to me. I love that stuff.
I was gonna say this was Exegol done right.
Exactly. Exactly.
I loved it. And
so good.
And then when the reveal of her being like, "Wait, this shit's still warm," and pours down her shit or pours down the water, and it shows Sauron's sigil. That made my fucking nipples hard. That's so exciting.
I loved it, and I thought she was gonna have to fight her party when they stopped following her. I thought she was gonna like just start whipping some ass, get them in line, because I like the entire journey up there was just beautiful, and that's the thing about this show. The score is 10 out of 10. It's amazing. The fucking visuals are cinematic as hell. The landscapes and everything is just so beautiful. The only thing is a little bit of, the character design and stuff that kind of bugs me a little bit. But that's it. Like I'm really sort of bought into this world at this point in the story, at least. And then she goes back to Lindon, and the king's like, look, as long as we don't look for Sauron, he's not going to come out of hiding. So I was just like, what kind of a fucking idiot would think that? What kind of a stupid fucking
to
idiot?
be fair, it's been like 1,000 years since anybody saw him.
Yeah, but she has like
whatever
drastic proof that he's still out there. And and like even the king said something along the lines of like he saw signs or something that he was out there still. So it's like, what the it doesn't make any sense at all. The threat's there. It's a dire threat building strength that's only going to come and get worse and attack all of light in the world. And you're just like, I don't see anything. So it must not be there.
Right.
Like, you're fucking stupid, king. Like, how can you have lived thousands and thousands of years and be this dumb with shaved fucking side of your head?
Right. I mean, that's why we should all burn the monarchy. Just plain and simple.
Bring it down.
Fucking
Bring
turds.
it down. Get a queen in there. All right. Some fucking people are freaking out. How dare you? Gender traitors. I've never heard that before, but I'm going to make it a thing now.
Yeah.
Hashtag gender traitor. All right. So then, she gets on the boat as a huge honor and is going to Valinor. I loved the way they set up the entire sailing to it and stuff. It felt exactly like the end of King Arthur, the film Excalibur, but the lore of King Arthur, because they had women come and take his body away after his battle with his son, and he sort of went into the sunset to live eternally and stuff. I just love that mythology so much, and to have Tolkien take a cue from Celtic mythology. And I mean, that's where he's from. So
I was like, that's pretty much all of Tolkien mythology is like old.
I just loved it. It was so beautifully done too. But at the last second, she's like, I can't do it. I got to kill this motherfucker, and jumps in the river. I just love it. I heard some people complaining that, well, if she was so hell-bent on killing Sauron, then when the Fellowship of the Ring came around, why didn't she go off and help him then? And my argument was she helped them by giving them tons of information, and she grew up for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So,
well, yeah, the thing is, like, we saw the final battle. Like, she saw all that shit when Sauron came into power and corrupted everything. Why the fuck would she throw her head in the ring for a fourth time or third time? Like, come on, man. Fuck. Like, let somebody kick you in the dick 2 or 3 times and then tell me that you're going to go back and be like, fuck it, I got one more in me. No, motherfucker. Shut up is why.
You only got 2 testes. That's all you got. 2 wars and you're out.
Yeah, I did. I loved that, like the visuals of it, because that's essentially what I hoped I was going to see at the end of Return of the King.
Yeah.
Like when everybody was sailing off to the Undying Lands. Like that was, I want to see them actually get right to that point and then traverse through into that.
Yeah.
So it was just so beautiful. It was like essentially how I believe, like what I think death is going to look like. Like, oh, it's so pretty. Oh God, it's going to hurt. Oh, fuck this. I better try to not die.
There's definitely going to be a hurt part, no matter how you go. Well, except in your sleep. That'd be pretty peaceful, I think. Unless there's the moment when you wake up, you're like, "Oh, I'm dying," and then you're like, "Ah, shit."
What was some bullshit?
What was the point of sleeping? Yeah, and so we get to see this really sort of Berlin war. Like the aftermath of war, like Berlin divided, East and West Berlin, except it's, the elves. I'm trying to look at my notes and see the damn name of the place, but I can't find it for the life of me. No, what's the name of the damn Ost town that they, anyway. The elves are watching over the humans that sided with Sauron in the last war. And so they're just sort of keeping their eyes on everything.
Horden.
Horden is town, yeah. Right underneath my highlighted area. So Horden was the corrupted one. I'm just saying, like, the elves were watching over men after the war to try to make sure they didn't do that again. You know what I mean? Like, go back. And I love the interaction. Of course, any occupied people are going to push back against their occupiers for whatever reason. And so I liked seeing that tension. I also like seeing, Arendir getting a little, wanting to get a little taste of Bronwyn. I was like, yeah, I'd be in on that too.
Can't blame him.
I would totally be in. She's that hot little healer human. Like, yes, please. I love that. So I love the convoluted nature of the world and the characters that we're finding. And I love these little glimpses that we got all throughout this entire episode of different cultures interacting in different ways with each other and themselves especially. I mean, of course, we focused heavily in this episode on just the elves more than anything else. We only gave a little dusting of the Harfoots and the humans. But I bought it. I like seeing, like, the elves are not a monolith. They traditionally act as such, but in Tolkien's lore, there's elven tribes. And so each of these little clans or tribes, or however he references them, families, I don't know, like there's conflict amongst each other and themselves. And I just love seeing that, because you're always sort of thinking, well, any member of a race is a part of a greater monolith that is that race. I mean, in D&D terms, it's always like, well, all elves hate all dwarves for this reason. All dwarves hate all elves for this reason. And in this particular case, it's no, everyone's an individual and they all have their own perspectives and stuff. Sometimes they go along and sometimes they don't. Yeah. I love the complexity of it because it's real. It doesn't feel fantasy and fake. Ultimately, they discover that there's some corruption in the town of Horden because of grazing a fucking cow and his, I don't know, like oil milk.
Yeah, that was some straight up like titty oil.
Titty oil.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker would go drink it.
Probably.
That's all I know. He's
that would be his dessert.
So gross. It tastes like chocolate. This is where chocolate milk comes from. And then, Arendir goes into the caverns. We see Galadriel jump off the ship, and that's where we sort of leave her. But all throughout all this, we've been cutting back and forth to the Harfoots, and especially Nori Brandywine and Poppy Proudfellow. And they discover this sort of meteor that drops down, and there's a Starman inside of it. And so there's tons of speculation about it being one person. I've never heard anyone say anything about it being anyone else other than ultimately the angel creature that becomes
Gandalf,
thank you. Sweet hell. So yeah, I couldn't, like, I was just like, now it's really starting to get confusing because Gandalf only became Gandalf in the Second Age, right?
I believe so.
So who the fuck was he before? Like, is this how, like, angels come to Earth?
Possibly.
Like in a rock?
Well, it's like, I'm almost wondering if it's Saruman.
Oh, really?
Because, well, yeah, Saruman's more ancient than Gandalf. Like,
but isn't he already on the, like, area on Middle Earth?
See, that's where I'm confused because I don't remember. It's like I want to say he is, but also at the same time, like I could see that being him.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I mean, obviously we're gonna find out at some point, but yeah,
but the thing
I
is,
don't
I
know.
don't even know that we should. Like, I don't want to know for sure because it's not Gandalf until the Third Age. In this period of time, it is someone else. Just like Gandalf turns, he dies by the Balrog and comes back as Gandalf the White, but he doesn't really know who he is until he's reminded. So I kind of feel like whoever it is, it may be some other wizard, future wizard or something, but whatever entity it is, I'm not sure I really want to know. I like the mystery of it. Even though it is speaking that Morgoth tongue or whatever the language is called, when he's like yelling and you can see the darkness sort of like wrapping around the atmosphere and stuff, that was something that Gandalf did in Frodo's home.
Yeah, speaking the black speech, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That's why I think it's him. But either way.
I'm sure it will be. I'm just hoping for something not so obvious.
Yeah. So what did you think about the actors? Because, again, the actors are not the characters. They only play the role they're given to play. Did you think that all the actors fit in well with the role they were assigned? Do you think that they were believable?
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't have any issues with, other than just like minor stupid little things that don't really matter. I just bought into all of it. I mean, the biggest one for me is Galadriel, and I believe her completely. So I'm on board with everything.
I love her rage. Is what I really, really love. One thing that kind of bothers me about Galadriel is when she's in the water, I can't see nipples through her clothes.
Yeah.
Do elves have nipples?
Well, yeah, they're mammals.
Questions. Like, they should have nipples. I should be able to see Galadriel's nipples, is my point. Okay.
Not going to argue there.
I'm going to drop a rating just for that.
Yeah. They drop an eye and a half.
They definitely pulled a Princess Leia from A New Hope on that one. It like, because I was looking hard.
I mean, who wasn't?
I was definitely like, it should be right there. Why is there nothing there? Would give me a little bump. I don't need to see an areola.
More frustrating in the next episode.
Yeah. All right, so what was your favorite part of this episode?
The very beginning, just seeing all the destruction, seeing the trees go out, just all of that shit is so goddamn beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, my favorite was the ice fortress. I don't know what it was, whatever it was in Fortowith. I thought that was like just so cool looking. I really bought into it right there. And the journey to get there I thought was just stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah, this left me wanting more. Like I was like, okay, I buy the lore. I've always liked Lord of the Rings, and so I'm in. Like, you've got me. Now give me something meaty, give me a reason. I want to see some action.
Yeah.
And it posed so many questions that I was really excited. What was your least favorite? Because you said it took you 2 sittings to get through this.
Yeah. So honestly, it was just the pacing. That was the part that bothered me. I mean, of course, further consideration, and as we're discussing it, like, I did like the episode. It's just, I want shit to be drawn out. Like, give me story, give me character development. And I understand, especially with the next episode that came out. Yeah. I understand the pacing was just to kind of fucking throw everything in your face, get it all out there so that we could experience the story in, I guess, real time versus trying to cover thousands of years in an hour.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to think of my least favorite. It's got to be Elrond's face. I'm such a shallow piece of shit. Sorry, we're running along.
No, man, it bothers me too. Like, the actor is fantastic, but just it's taking some time to get used to him being Elrond.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's a half elf, so we gotta kind of give him a little leeway. I love the little digs too. The little digs about his ethnicity that if you didn't know he was a half elf, you wouldn't really get. But when that person comes over, the king is calling a meeting for all elf lords. And then he's like, "What the fuck you telling me then, bitch?" I'm like, "God damn it!" Like, just fucking being a dick for no reason. And he's like, "Oh, your friend's here. Why do you fucking say so?" And he runs off and says, "I love the relationship between Elrond and Galadriel too. I think that's so beautiful."
Yeah.
Anyway, ratings. What are you gonna give this thing?
So just because of the pacing, I'm giving it 2.
Wow.
because,
Okay.
like I said, it was so fucking hard for me to get through, which is ironic because it's all tiny little bite-sized increments, so it should be easy to just plow through. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I like long drawn out stories. Like give me some fucking Ty West and I'll eat that shit up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it bugged the hell out of me.
Okay. Well, I give it 4 out of 5 evil eyes because I really thought I thought we were going to get a little bit more sort of action, and we did get some, and so I should be happy. But for some reason, it was so much setup. We had to sit through so much setup, which I enjoyed, but I still wanted some sort of payoff, and all it did was ask more questions. So I don't know. It's still a good score. It's just not a perfect score. So we got the next one to look forward to. So anything else you want to talk about with this?
Nope, definitely got it.
All right. Well, everyone else tuning in live or after the fact, thank you so much for tuning in, taking your time to spend with us. We really appreciate it. And as always, remember that evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there and be fucking evil.
Hell yeah.